What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to The Crunch, which is a broadcast hosted by myself, Kobe Rose, and by Sensi, which is Joshua Charles. And today we are accompanied by
Miss Krypto, Izzy, owner of Krypto.
I'm Bazzah, co-owner of Krypto.
Yeah.
Krypto Bazzah, if you want to call me that.
Cool. And yeah, so I thought it would be a great opportunity to get them both on. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of the talk today. Really appreciate it.
No worries.
Happy to be here.
Okay, cool. So how are you guys? Let's start off with how you guys are doing.
As an organisation, or
No, just as a person.
as a person,
Yeah.
stressful life.
Why is it stressful?
Alright.
What are you up to?
Just, sort of exam season where you're getting all your results back and everything. So, yeah.
Are you
think-
nearly done with school? Or?
Yeah, I'm nearly done. Going into my last year now, so.
So when's like your half year? Like when?
We've now finished our year. We finished in the beginning of July. That's our cut-off, and then we then start the new year in September. Yeah.
Alright, so you're going to your next grade starting December.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that's pretty cool. And you guys still have like dances there, right? Like you have a ball, like a prom.
Yeah, we don't, it depends what school you go to or what college or sixth form. We usually have at my school, it's called the May Ball.
Very cool. Izzy,
Yep.
just a question for you. How did you get into the sphere of gaming? Like, what is your origin story?
Well, it's just a sort of quite an ordinary story. I mean, I was gaming with friends back in Black Ops 2, I believe. Just school friends, just messing about. And then when it got to like Ghosts, that's when we started to think, because when, Ghosts is when all like the clans came along and you could make your own clan on the game itself and then invite people. So we actually had that, and it was called Vortex Gaming. And then like a year or so later, beginning of AW, Krypto started, so like 2014-ish. And then that's really the origin of Krypto, just with friends. I didn't come up with the name, my friend came up with the name, but over time, everybody sort of left, and I've been left to it, and then Bazzah sort of joined last year, so, yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So Bazzah, how did you like become co-leader? Or were you like the second person, or what happened?
No, I'm only recently in it, as you said. I've sort of known Izzy for a while now.
4 years? 3 years? Yeah, quite a while.
Okay.
We bumped in through friends, and then we sort of gelled well. And then I posed the question. I was like, Krypto Bazzah, question mark? And she went, yeah, let's do it. So it's not like anything that I was there from the start. I'm just here now.
Yeah, and then last year we sort of like build up his reputation within Krypto, and then he was offered the position of co-owner, so it just went from there really.
That's pretty cool. And so how long has Krypto been going for now?
3.5 years.
Wow,
Oh, damn.
okay. And what's your plans with Krypto? What's your future plans?
Well, our main goal is to make the transition from amateur to professional. Obviously this is something that's going to take a lot of time and funding and expertise. For the time being, we've taken sort of a step back. We're getting a whole like panoramic view of the scene, and we're trying to figure out what is our best thing to do next. Are we going to go into teams, or are we going to focus on content? It's just we're just deciding that right now, and I think at the moment we're going to look more into content side, build that up, and then get into teams within Europe. But the difference between teams in SA and Europe is that they expect a lot more. So like in SA, I've been working with the COD lads, and they're a great bunch of guys, and they don't expect anything. Like they deserve it, yeah, but they don't say I want this and this. Whereas in EU, people say I want this and this and this when they haven't actually achieved anything. So we're just going to take a step back and focus more on content for the time being.
Yeah, no, that's true. Hey, like if you have to compare, like our gaming to like UK gaming, it's very different, and like the standards are extremely different as well. You know.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part of running an organisation.
Yeah,
is trying to keep up the demands with players. Sometimes it's just not possible.
Yeah, because there's always an organisation out there that will offer it because they don't know how the community works, sort of thing. So then those players will always expect that from then on, even if they leave that organisation. So that's how it is.
And have you guys had like a lot of people like leave, and a lot of offers, or?
People leave. Yeah, people always leave. People always go for their sort of best offer that they can get, sort of thing. And for me personally, I think that's not great, but that's what you should be doing if you're a player, shouldn't you? You shouldn't be just tied down to an organisation for the sake of it.
Yeah.
There should be loyalty within management. I do believe in that, but with players, I think they need to go for their best offer. I really do.
Yeah, but like that was quite an issue. There probably is in other communities as well, but like it is an issue in the South African COD community, where like everyone jumps clans. They're in one clan for like a month, and then they're in another clan. You know.
Yeah, it happens here as well, but it doesn't happen just because they want to be in that team for the sake of it. It happens because they're getting offered something. That's why in Europe it doesn't happen as much, because we have contracts. So I'd recommend to South Africa to get their contracts sorted and get them tied down for a certain period of time, because it will prevent sort of hopping, and it will also stabilise the organisation and the community as a whole, really.
Wow, I've never actually...
And then...
Yeah, sorry, go.
And then a question regarding the contract.
Yeah.
What sort of penalties do you players face if they, say, sign a contract with your organisation and they leave before the contract ends?
Well, they can't actually leave. Obviously, I can't tell you exactly what's in our contracts. It can't be shared with third party. But players say our COD team decided they wanted to part ways with us recently. So that was fine. We just sent them a termination letter because we believed it was time to part ways. But if there is a dispute between a player and an organisation, and the player leaves without consent, then they can get a fine, but the fine isn't like ridiculous. It's like £50 maximum, or that they cannot participate or join another organisation for a certain period of time. This is called like a cool down period to stop. It's to prevent the player from doing it further in the future, sort of thing. So they learn.
The EU community seems quite professional, or compared to the South African community.
You say
when it
that,
comes
but
to
then it's just, you know.
The actual professional EU side of things is very well made. It's sort of the lead up to it, the AM scene is just very immature and kids acting like kids.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to try and keep control of people trying to be childish and immature at all times.
So the whole like you get terminated and stuff, and you mentioned, Izzy, like you won't be able to join another organisation. So how will the other organisation know that person can't join them?
Well, then there's something called like a transfer, so we can negotiate a transfer fee with that organisation, so it's just a smooth process.
Oh, so do they ask then that player what team they were in before?
Yeah, that player can ask that they want to transfer to another organisation, and then that organisation will come to us and talk to us about the next steps.
Okay, that sounds so professional and legit. Like, yeah, sorry.
You can say that, but then people don't like take into account that they think they've signed the contract and it doesn't apply for some reason. So, I don't know why, but it just happens. So
yeah, we've had an incident with that recently.
So, with that situation though, like, who goes about policing it, or is it sort of just like a gentleman's like rule?
No, we have he's called Lexo or Nathan in Krypto. He wrote the contract, so he knows the ins and outs of it all. So if there's a problem, we get him in to talk to the players. And if the players are under 18 and they don't understand, we sort of go through their parents, because that's how it's supposed to be done legally.
I think there's only one team that I've heard of that actually has a contract, which was Bravado. Yeah.
Bravado.
Yeah, them. That's the only team that I know in South Africa that has contracts. So
yeah. I'd really recommend South Africa to introduce contracts, because even though most of the COD community is under 18, it is really beneficial to the organisation and the players as a whole. So.
Oh, yeah, no, I definitely agree. Yeah, it will also save a lot of clan hopping and it will increase loyalty as well.
Yeah.
Which is something we lack.
You see what they tweet?
Barry, gotcha. Okay, so what is your role in the clan? Like, what do you have to do?
I'm just sort of looking for content creators myself recently, but I've kind of slowed down a lot because of work and stuff, and it's kind of hard to do both at the same time. So when I get some spare time, I look at small streamers and see what I can offer them and what they can offer me, and then we sort of just go from there and see what happens.
Okay, alright. And also, I wanted to ask guys, like, what position does Krypto have in, the UK? Or, like, what reputation does... What reputation does it have?
In the UK, I mean, there are, like, what would you say, Barry? 5 decent organisations that are AM.
Yeah, there's a couple of bigger orgs than us.
There are huge orgs like not Fnatic, but
Splice.
Fnatic EU sort of thing. Splice and all that. Red Reserve, who's owned by Patrick from Sweden. But obviously there are that sort of professional tier, and then there's the amateur community, which we're currently in. And then within that AM community is about 3 different tiers. There's the top of the AM, the middle where they just sort of mess about, sometimes do well or create a bit of content, and there's the bottom which just do nothing. They start up, they stop, they start up, meaning that they end the organisation, then they start it up with like a 2.0 thing. I say we're nearest the top because we don't interact with sort of unnecessary drama, if that makes sense. Because there's quite a bit of that within the community, which isn't good for reputation at all. So in our contracts, again, we have it so players are sort of, they're not allowed to display any sort of racism or any of that on their feed. We tend not to get involved professionally wise anyway. Team wise, again, we've taken a step back with that and focusing on content more. I mean, it's not all about contracts. You can do like an agreement, just like verbal agreement, but it's not the same because kids are kids. They'll think it doesn't apply, or they'll just take things for what they're not.
So a bit of a controversial question to the both of you as founder and current founder.
Yeah.
Recently, I believe it was this year, Krypto started a female-only COD team. Do you see that as what happened with the whole situation as like a blunder?
This is South Africa, yeah?
Yeah, the female team, yeah.
Yeah, South Africa.
So we decided to start up the female team purely because the EU and NA scene for female competition was growing. So there's something called the Female Pro League. They're verified on Twitter. They hold leagues for COD and I think it's Halo or something. So we were trying to sort of get them to realise that there's like female teams within South Africa who wanting to compete in this. So that was our goal, to sort of get the South African female community into, like, join Europe and America and grow sort of thing. But it didn't work out, and it's a shame that it didn't work out. But I suppose it is what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, yeah, you got to do what helps your team and such. Do you think the reason why you got rid of the female team what was the reason why? Was it because
there wasn't a specific reason. It was just because for the organisation purpose there wasn't growth there, and we were trying to, like, the whole reason, as I said, we brought them on was to get them to grow and join the EU and NA scene, but it just, at the time, it's just not possible because the SA scene needs to grow, like,
as a whole before you start developing specific leagues within that sort of scene.
Yeah.
So how do you think SA should grow? Like, in what way, what direction?
It needs to grow in a direction where eventually there can be professional teams able to compete against other professional teams throughout the globe. At this point, I just don't see that happening within COD. I don't know about other games. Don't have a clue. I've heard about SA teams going to events in Europe. I don't know how well they did, but it's just stuff like that, because I'm not even lying. People within Europe, they don't know anything about South Africa. They think it's a third world country that doesn't even have internet for all they know. So.
And they travel to school like on lions or like camels and stuff.
Yeah.
Someone actually said that to me once. I was like, this is crazy. Are you not educated? Like, we have cars and stuff. We're not completely like towed out here.
It's like they don't even, like, because we have the abbreviations like NA for North America, EU for Europe. So when I tell people, when I say SA, they're like, what does that mean?
Wow.
Obviously it means South Africa, but they don't know. This is the problem.
Yeah.
Who's going to care?
How do they not know about us? Like, do they not learn about us back there or something?
No, it's because the way you present yourself on social media, because social media is the biggest platform for these games, it's just not big enough, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You need to be a lot bigger to attract attention, to then get investors and events, and then you can work your way up, really.
So what advice from the both of you, what advice like would you give to the SA community to grow? What can they do? What should they do?
Well, obviously the community is made up of a lot of under 18s, so it's quite hard to self-invest and capitalise, really. But for them, for like everybody, what they can do is start, and I'm not saying not everybody is professional, but they need to show a more professional vibe on Twitter. So when they're approaching companies for sponsorships or whatever, that when they flip through their Twitters, they can see it's all professional, no matter what age they are, so they're serious. Because sometimes you see people just tweet a load of crap, to be honest. So, and I've seen this a lot of times. I've told them that maybe it's not the best way to go, but you know, it's that under 18 vibe that's sort of killing it. But maybe in time.
Yeah, but it doesn't help when they have their little arguments on Twitter either for everyone to see.
No, I mean, this is what I say to people who join. If you're going to have arguments, do them through DMs. That simple.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've been told that a few times.
Barry, how long have you been competing competitively in COD?
I've been playing COD since the first COD came out, really. But I wasn't, like, back then I didn't have internet because I was a kid and stuff, so I was always just playing, like, the story mode over and over. And I loved it. And then I sort of hit, like, my first year in secondary school. And all my friends were like, oh, you should get Xbox Live and we can all play COD. I was like, okay, see how that goes. I did that until MW2. And then after that, I sort of started watching YouTube videos on competitive players there. And I was like, wow, these guys are pretty good. I wonder if I can do that. So then I sort of delved into it more and sort of met up with people and we started just playing from there. And then sort of grew into here. But recently, with the newer CODs, I've stepped back because I don't like them as much.
Jetpack.
Yeah, flying around and stuff. That's not for me. It's not for me.
So with the new Call of Duty World War II, do you think you're going to get back into it competitively, or are you going to continue to just take the backseat?
Oh no, I'm 110% coming back for the new COD. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that I want to compete in this game.
Amen. I mean, like, if you like, I started in Modern Warfare 3, you know, and for me that was the best time, you know, because of the people as well, you know, the community as a whole and the game.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Advanced Warfare came out, and then it was just like, actually no, it was Ghost. It started with Ghost with the whole sliding thing, and then you know, Advanced Warfare came out, and it just started ruining everything. And now a game is coming out where it's going back to its roots, you know, and then it's just going to be really enjoyable for, you know, people that have been playing for a really long time and enjoy that.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because I don't like jetpack CODs. Like, I've, you know, expressed myself a couple times on Twitter, but AW was sort of the game that made me sort of like this, the time where I started like winning tournaments and stuff, like properly. So I mean, it's controversy, but hey ho, I actually liked Advanced Warfare. It was fun for the first few months.
Yeah, it was.
And then everyone discovered the gun variant.
The new COD's fun for the first few months, and it goes
Yeah.
downhill.
Yeah,
But with
that's
watching
true.
the new COD coming out, like it just looks
A
incredible.
lot better. Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks something special. So happy the Sledgehammer went back to boots on the ground.
Yeah, definitely. Like, even with Infinite Warfare, the zombies, they completely ruined zombies by adding it,
Yeah.
you know? It was absolute crap.
Yeah, it was trash bags.
Like, just the original zombies from Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, amazing stuff, honestly. Best zombies all time, you know?
World at War all day.
I actually never played World at War, so I wouldn't know.
Oh,
Did you play
damn.
World at War?
That was- Yeah, it was a really
Yeah, no,
good
World at War was zombies on that was
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah. It was like the first time that I actually got scared by a zombies game. I know that sounds kind of stupid and childish, but yeah, it was like when you first spawn in on Nocturne and Toten, you don't know what's going on, and then it's just crazy.
So, back to the whole crypto thing. There's a crypto boys team here.
No, we actually decided to part ways. So I believe Keegan Sharpie joined 50-50. Kira's Carl joined Ventus, and I don't know what happened to Jamie and Ryan, basically. So I don't know what happened to them, but we decided to part ways. That was the best way to go for everybody. So that's just what happened.
And on that, do you think you are going to start another team with the South African community?
Not this
Maybe.
year. I think, I mean, Bazzah says maybe, but I think this year it's best to wait until the new card,
I think
and wait until actually DGL starts. Because last year, the fault of us was getting a team like months before DGL, and there were so many roster changes and everything. It just got all messy and confusing. So that's why we decided to come out, because it was just, obviously we like to be professional, and that wasn't in our eyes, and we didn't like it. So
So on that though, are you waiting for an opportunity for growth, or are you waiting for anything specific to happen within the South African community?
no, nothing specific, because I mean last year you had Mag Cup. This year I haven't heard of another one, which is a shame, because last year it really helped you guys. But hopefully next year with the new card, hopefully Holden or somebody like that can sort something out to get things going again, because that really did boost you. But this year it's kind of fallen back again, sort of thing.
One step forward and two steps back, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot to learn, like, as a community, you know. But we'll get there one day. We really will. We'll get
Yeah,
there.
definitely.
But you know, having Benson come to South Africa last year was just amazing. The experience, and just to have, you know, someone who's, you know, experienced so many different types of, how do I say, it's like areas of gaming, you know, and meeting different people, and, you know, to have him in like our little space is incredible, you know.
Yeah, it was definitely good, because you guys got to like show all your organisations off and everything. And I think Mag Cup was a huge success, really. It's a shame that, as I say, it's a shame there's not another one.
Would you guys ever come down to South Africa?
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely come down. I'm not sure about Barrier, but I'd come down if there was... This is another thing. I'd only come down if there was like a big enough event sort of thing. Otherwise, it's just... Meh. It's not a waste, but it's not really worth it for how much it costs.
Well,
I mean, regardless, I think I'd still go, even for a holiday. Yeah, I definitely would. Like, it just seems like a nice place to go.
Yeah. I swear we don't like ride camels and stuff around the
Oh,
streets.
I don't know, people.
Just so you know. But we do have like an event that we have every year. You guys probably know, like Rage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty big event as well for South Africa.
Yeah, isn't Rage linked to DGL?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So wouldn't you come down for that?
When is it? October? Like
Yes.
mid-October?
No, it's the beginning of October. This
Okay.
year it's from the 6th to the 8th of October.
Well, I wish, but you know, expensive. It's like £1,000 in flights.
Yeah,
Don't know how much that is in rand.
Well, like, you guys have more opportunity because of the exchange rates, and for us it would be way more expensive to come visit you.
Yeah, do you know how many people have come to me saying, "Oh, if I buy this, can I ship it to you?" And then you ship it to me, and then I'm just there like, oh, God.
Well, our community's been around for a while. How did you guys find out about it, and what sort of sparked your interest?
Kyle Blurs actually came to me. You know who he is.
Yes, I remember that. I remember he was Krypto Blurs. I remember.
Yeah. Okay, so he came to me on Twitter about Mayish last year, and he said, "Don't say anything, just listen to me." And so I did, and that's how it happened, really. He was very persistent in what he was saying. It was persuasive, really. So I gave it a shot.
Well, I think, no offense to South Africa, but I think, our community, we need to be persuasive, and we need to be like, please, can you do this? Because it seems like people outside of our community don't take us seriously,
Yeah.
with our reputation. So we've got to be like that. So props to Carl for that, because, now you guys know about us and things like that.
Prior to us even having a South African team, I didn't realise there was a competitive scene.
No.
To be honest, I hadn't the slightest clue that it was a thing.
Yeah. So it's really, that's just telling you there that you guys need to point it out to us, because we don't know. How will we ever know if we're not told, sort of thing?
Yeah, no.
So you need to, this is advice for the SA community. They need to interact with people from Europe, America, APAC, just to really sort of get the fact that there is a South African community out there. But the problem I found out last year that the South African community was it was like a huge family, and it was also linked together. I can breach the barrier to get through to get a team sort of thing, because they were all so tight. But I think this year it sort of opened up a bit more. They're more open to sort of obviously the EU exposure. They like that part. But as I say, they just need to talk to people worldwide. They need to start and get a feel for what else is out there. And essentially they need to go to events that are outside South Africa if they want to get noticed, beforehand, before SA blows up, sort of thing.
And what was your opinion about the whole, which was really cool, I mean, for our community it was frigging awesome, the whole hashtag Africa for Comp.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of that? That was crazy.
I mean, I tweeted it out, I hashtagged it, I tweeted it out to help you guys. I think it was really cool. I think you guys need to keep going with that, keep persisting with it, because obviously there's one for South America as well. I've heard a hashtag for that as well. But if you keep going with that, people are going to notice, and people have noticed, apathy. I think he tweeted it at some point. It's just being persistent, really. So
is there actually no possible way in the future that you guys will, team up with us again or anything? No chance at all?
Yeah. No, there is a possibility for next year, but obviously it has to be the right opportunity, and it's the right opportunity and the right timing, really. Because we don't want to take teams away from their organisations, but then saying that the organisations need to have contracts, sort of thing. So it's a big sort of circle that spirals round, and sort of, if this happens, then this will happen, and then so they need to get the teams locked down for next year. I'd recommend it completely, especially if they're offering jerseys or flights or sponsorship products. You don't want to have a team and then they just run off 5 seconds later, because that has happened to us in the past, not in South Africa, but within Europe. So.
Oh really? Wow. Yeah, because I know here, if they get they order jerseys and stuff, it does take a while to get to them, and all of that. We are quite slow in South Africa, I'm not gonna lie to you. Which is really sucky. But yeah, so is there any okay, so say our viewers listening, is there anything you would want to say to motivate or encourage gamers listening to this right now?
I'd just say, even how big or how small you are, if you're in Bravado, if you're in Luna, if you're in Ventus, it doesn't matter how big you are, you all need to work together to sort of get your name out there and get the fact that there is a South African community, because, as I say, we just don't know about it. I didn't know about it, Barry didn't know about it until we were told.
So would you guys ever take, because, like, I've seen on Twitter, people are like, yeah, okay, you're irrelevant, if you're not a well-known gamer and all of that. But I feel like there's more to a community than just a gamer, especially a team. I mean, there is the designers, there is the
like the managers,
yeah, the managers.
And,
there we
the
go.
whole team behind the organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I'm not saying within SA. I'm not saying this is true for every organisation, because I've seen it from Vinco and Provider and all that. But people need a solid infrastructure. Because if they don't have that, then how are they going to keep teams? How are they going to communicate with them, sort of thing? You can't just have one person doing all the work. They need to have a solid thing going with managers, content creators, streamers. That's another thing. I know your internet isn't the best down there, right? Mm-hmm. But you need to stream. You need to stream. Even if you're just streaming pubs, that's another way of getting exposure, sort of thing. If you can stream. So, like, Dare Didelis has been doing streams for competitive matches. He's doing a great job. So just anybody who wants to do that sort of thing, it's great, really.
Yeah, no, it really is, yeah. But, like, what I was going to say was, would you ever, like, create a team from South Africa of designers?
I mean, it could be a possibility, yeah. I mean, obviously there are a lot of talented designers out there, like, I believe it's Jard.
Yes.
And there's Hash as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some photographers, like... I forgot his name, but there's Astrid as well and all those sort of people. So I think if they're not going to bring themselves together, then maybe we could start up a project or something to do that sort of thing and get exposure within the different communities worldwide.
I think that would be an absolutely great opportunity for them, If they heard that, then I'm pretty sure maybe they'd talk to you guys or something,
Yeah, definitely.
Because also being in South Africa and like this small community, you also lose motivation very easily. So to have you guys, being international, and because you guys to us are like, well, to me, the way I see it is like Krypto is like some kind of like icon, because you are international and you have contracts, so. Like, that's just pretty cool, and it's motivational for, gamers and designers and all of that, thinking that they can actually get there one day and be a part of an international team and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's 100% possible, especially because there are so many talented people within SA. And I think people think, like, if they disappear, nobody will notice. But when the numbers drop with players, like they did near the end of the DGL season, the ladders and all that, it is noticeable. And so they just need to sort of think, well, if it's not working out, they just need to keep grinding with it. And if it's not working out for them personally, maybe start up a project with an organisation within South Africa and then possibly present it to an international one who's in Europe or America. It's all these little things that will help gradually. Obviously, something's not going to happen huge in the first 5 minutes. It just takes time because Krypto's been going for 3.5 years. This is how long it's taken to get to this point where we are right now. So it takes time.
Okay.
Everything starts off small.
Yeah.
You don't start up something and immediately expect success. It's not how things work. If you're willing to put the grind and the effort and the time, then eventually you will get somewhere. But you don't expect success instantly.
And with that though, what I see a big problem with the South African community is that a lot of the players will not get involved with like tournaments that are not for money.
Yeah, I run Gamers Connect, right? that was a massive problem at the start of IW. Like, we had one tournament where people would invest. Like, we had a sign-up tournament. People signed up. They entered for, like 100 rand, and then they got a prize at the end, like if they came first, second, or third. So we had one successful tournament with that. But after that, nobody entered any of those because they thought, what's the point? We're not going to win, so why enter money? And that's the attitude that just will get the community absolutely nowhere at the end of the day. Absolutely nowhere. So it's not about, I mean, it is about if you win, if you lose, and you lose money and everything. But to help the community as a whole investing, it just has to be done from somebody. If it's not going to be done, nothing's going to happen. But what really frustrated me was that people were asking for these tournaments, asking for money tournaments, but they weren't willing to put in the investment themselves. So
Yeah, they just expect the money to come for free.
yeah,
And also with that, though, a lot of the local gamers look at like the card champs and the little tournaments that you guys have, where it's, you know, like £2,500, £5,000 for a win, or, you know, when our biggest competition,
Yeah.
you know, only racks up like 100,000 rand, which is what, like £7,000 or £8,000. And a lot of players look at that and they say, oh, well, I'm not going to get involved until, you know, we get like a card champs or
yeah.
such a tournament.
Well, let me just explain to you the difference between SA and EU right now. So in EU we have leagues by people called Dom, Val, and EEG. So these leagues, there are like 4 leagues a year from each of these people, and each league is at least £1,000 in prize pool.
Wow.
So that, and in SA you have 3 events. It's
Yeah,
just.
around about 3.
But the thing is, in these leagues, to get into the league, you have to invest. So you have to pay an entry fee, and that's it. That's it, really. There's nothing more to it. If they can't invest, then there's not going to be anything for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point.
People, they need to know, like, if they want to get anywhere, they gotta pay, or they gotta, you know, just to, it's these small things that matter, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
As you said, like, you guys...
Sorry?
Sorry?
I was going to say, as you said, like, you guys just got to help each other out, not put each other down.
Yeah.
That's a big problem I see with sort of the younger guys in that community.
Yeah.
They're always bickering and fighting, and it's just kind of not
I mean, it's not like we don't want to pin it all on the younger guys, because it isn't really. You see older people being sort of a bit opinionated to the point where it causes an argument on Twitter. I mean, it's everybody really. They just got to sort of flush it out and focus on the professional side. As I said, if they want to have arguments or debates, as they so call it, to cover up that it is actually an argument, they need to have it in DMs.
Like, in your community, like, obviously you guys have your own community there, and,
Yeah.
you know, are there a lot of arguments as well on Twitter?
Oh yeah.
there's plenty of arguments.
But the thing is, in EU, because we're so big, we have bigger problems, if that makes sense. So, the couple of months ago, people were getting bullied to the extent that they were leaving the community. So it was actual people being bullied, cyberbullied.
Oh,
So I don't think that doesn't happen in SA from what I know. But because we're so big, it happens here, and it happens in every community. To what extent is down to the people within it.
Yeah, well, we're actually quite a small community, actually. So if someone says something mean, everyone interferes, you know.
Yeah, everybody jumps on the
like, you know,
bandwagon.
Brad Cherry.
Yeah.
Like, he comments
he's
on
great.
everything, and you know, now looking at it, it's like, we're actually pretty lucky. Like, if we compare it to the whole cyberbullying thing, and not everyone's gonna see it.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I think that's a good thing for us.
So,
you know?
yeah, it's not all bad. I mean, there's no bullying going on from what I'm seeing. It's just like banter sort of thing. But sometimes it does get out of hand, and that's where the organisations need to come and like step in and say no.
Because I was actually thinking about this the other day. Like, my cousin, he's like 3 years old, okay? And in 10 years' time, 10, 11 years' time, he's going to be playing PlayStation, okay? I'm just taking a guess here.
Yeah.
And like we as a generation now, we're like setting the community for them when they come. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
if we set a shitty like example in community, then it's like then they're gonna deal with that as well, and it just it sucks, you know.
Yeah, it's like when a parent has a kid, the kid copies what they do, sort of thing, to learn.
Yeah.
But obviously they're not learning, they're just, you know, that's why if you sort it out now, when the majority of the community is younger, all that can happen is progress. It can only progress from there on out, really. You can't go backwards, really, because, you know, I'm not saying that you're nothing or that you're really small. It's just that you can only move forwards from what I've been seeing with like EGE and everything.
Yeah. No, I think we have actually changed a lot, you know, like we've gotten better.
Oh yeah.
We have.
Yeah. In the last year I've seen it for myself within the last year.
Yeah,
it's been crazy, really.
There was one stage where it was just like hectic, where people were just arguing left, right and centre. I remember that stage. It was horrible. But
I mean,
sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, I don't talk to everybody within the community, but I talk to enough people like Robbie in the end, obviously Carl, Inventus now. So I sort of can see a whole picture. So it's quite interesting from somebody somebody not within SA to get what the vibe is, and the vibe seems to be like a huge family. So if you can all just keep that and come together and start investing, start growing, not be sort of selfish, not saying that everybody is, but investing even though you know that you might lose, then it's just going to help tremendously, really.
I assume you guys have obviously watched our streams and see how we compete and all that. Like our larger teams like Bravado, Ventus, Finco, Ian, etc.
Yeah.
With contrast with the skill level, do you think like our largest teams would be able
I knew you were going to say this eventually. In all honesty, it is hard to compare, but a lot of people, you can't really measure it unless you have a match. But earlier this year, we did actually have a match with our EU youth team and our SA youth team. I think Tipman was in it, Sharpie, Kires, and it possibly might have been at that time Cameron. I can't remember his online name, but if it's not, excuse my mistake. But the matches were getting pretty close. They were, considering the EU youth team was top 16, top 32 team. The matches were close, but obviously host was the deciding variant, because when they were off their host, they were losing. When they were on, they were winning. But the matches either way were still fairly similar, which was surprising for me. It really was. So I think there's definitely a way in which they could compete, the best compete with international teams. But obviously you have to be 18 if you want to do it in COD anyway.
Oh yeah, no, of course.
In the UK, our laws are different, as in you have to be 18 to spectate and play, even if it's not a CWL event, basically.
Oh wow, that's
yeah.
It's rough.
That's quite a thing.
It's rough.
Well, I'm gonna end the podcast there, guys. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. Really appreciate it. Our first people as well. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. Hopefully, keep in contact with you guys, and our community hopefully grows and takes something from this podcast.
Thank you again, Zimbari. It's really much appreciated to get your guys' insight into our community and the differences between our two communities and all that.
Yeah, no worries.
Dude.
Okay, well, you guys keep well, okay?
And
you too.
Thanks. It's been the Crunch, guys.
Bye.
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 Bye.